Hi, I'm Mayan, and today I'm going to present my literature review presentation, which is about the ethical challenges of using AI applications in containing the COVID-19 pandemic. Before I begin, I will present my inspiration for choosing this topic, which was a course in computer ethics that I took through my degree plan. The course introduced us to different ethical schools and different case studies viewed from each of the ethical schools' perspective. One case study might be ethical from the utilitarian view, but not ethical from the Kantian school of ethics. The book we used was Ethics in the Information Age by Michael Quinn, and part of the reason of writing this literature review is the wish to see this topic as a case study on these books, or even as a research on its own. By the end of this presentation, these points will be covered. The purpose of AI surveillances in the pandemic, the importance of ethics when dealing with the pandemic and AI surveillance, the ethical challenges presented for AI applications when dealing with the pandemic, the need for a better research to build ethical frameworks. The digital revolution is a term that describes the shift to technology dependence. And this shift grew as COVID-19 came in. Technology is now used as a way to ease limiting COVID-19 cases through AI-based contact tracing applications. These applications use Bluetooth to notify citizens who are close to an infected person about possible infection, so that they take their ethical duty and responsibility in quarantining and testing for COVID-19. This also helped governments to be wary of infected locations so that they sanitize these locations and apply mask mandates or even quarantine. As these applications are being depended on, ethical challenges rise. But ethics are deeper than what most people think. They're the set of rules that determine the behavior of the society. They are important in answering controversial debates by going back to the original philosophical approach. In order to overcome different opinions in appropriate detail and choose the best one to build a rigid ethical framework. Which leads me to the goal of my paper, which is the need for better researches about this topic. The first article was by Williams, and he concluded that there are 5 main themes of ethical challenges after questioning people about these applications. A lack of knowledge and misunderstandings about COVID-19 tracing applications, privacy issues, disapproval concerns, consumption concerns, and finally, contact tracing for the greater good. These themes open the door to explore the ethical and philosophical challenges both by tracing people for the sake of the greater public health. This study shows that these 5 themes are ethically important to ensure public trust. The second article by Miller discussed how the government's use of surveillance technology poses a number of significant ethical problems. Miller concluded that community and the ethical duty responsibility are important to download a Bluetooth application that limits COVID-19 to begin with. But it should not be enforced. Yet, if that's what's needed for the application to be successful, then there is a case to be made in favor of the dangers of COVID-19. This study also emphasized the challenge of individual duty ethics to be applied by everyone, and at the end, Miller makes a call of action for entities to act ethically and make a better ethical framework that ensures public trust. The third article by Debove concluded that there are several challenges with using these applications. Sharing data while ensuring that the involved people have given their consent is indeed an ethical method. It makes ethical issues of users' data privacy less serious. Yet, it has its challenges in the inability to deliver information due to a language barrier or even a limited freedom of choice. Also, ensuring protection against cybercrime such as illegal access requires the responsibility for the use of rigid cybersecurity frameworks, which is also an ethical challenge. The method of enrollment to these applications, opt-in, opt-out, and whether it should be mandated or not, is also an ethical dilemma. And finally, the responsibility of concerned entities to deliver information to the public transparently with taking reviews and feedback from the public. People should know where and how their information is being used, as well as how and why these applications work. These are the questions asked by the above that are important to make a good ethical framework. What amount of data and information is necessary from an individual's mobile in order to apply and mandate preventive measures? How much justification and explanation do we owe the public? How much transparency and governance are required to ensure public confidence and trust? How do we manage to have a balance between extracting the needed users' data with limiting access to vulnerable personal information at the same time? To what extent may predictive algorithms be relied on? The Bob study was the best in terms of clear listing, and it concluded that these questions should be answered when making an ethical framework. In conclusion, all the reviewed articles emphasized the need for a better ethical framework that ensures public trust, but the Bowes research had a better in-depth listing than others. Most of the studies do discuss the ethical dilemma rising by the dependence of AI in favor of public health control, but not in the philosophical way. In my opinion, understanding and analyzing the philosophy behind this situation will lead to a rigid ethical framework. We need to understand the roots and reach to an in-depth dimension to create a rigid framework. Questions such as what would Immanuel Kant say about contact tracing applications? What is the utilitarian schools of ethics view on this issue? What if contact tracing was normalized? What would happen in the long run should be asked and should be answered. And more researches about it is necessary. By now, I reached the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening.